The history of mankind's greatest successes and tragedies is directly linked to warp space, also known as the Immaterium, or simpler, the warp. In a time now long forgotten, it was the discovery of warp space that allowed the first human colonizations. By entering that alternative dimension, it was possible to achieve faster than light speed over interstellar distances, allowing fleets to travel far from Terra's solar system. Mankind spread quickly, colonizing the galaxy in an expansive age. It was also the warp, or more precisely, the dread powers that dwell within that realm, that caused the collapse that ended the otherwise gilded age of technology. As it transpired, warp space was not an empty void to be conquered by science. Instead, it was an infinite and incomprehensible realm inhabited by many strange and malignant entities. The most powerful and dangerous of these warp denizens were the four greater gods of chaos: Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle and Slaanesh, and their legions of demons. They desired only the destruction of the galaxy, and longed to possess every living soul. Fortunately for mankind, demons cannot easily leave the Immaterium, and can only do so when they found gateways to bridge the gap between their dread domain and real space. Until the Great Rift, the most common gateway between the warp and real space was the unprotected mind of a psyker. Such a being draws upon the otherworldly powers of the Immaterium. Whether consciously or no, yet without training or exceptional, they are all vulnerable to demonic possession. Warp storms, sudden violent outbursts of energies escaping the Immaterium, also brought violent but short-lived demon incursions. Such tempests plagued the galaxy, waxing and waning across sectors. There had been a time during an era known as the Age of Strife, when the vast warp storms raged unchecked for centuries. It was only when that overwhelming tumult abated that the being who would become to be known as the Emperor rose to the power of terror. First, he led the unification wars to unite the populations of Terra's solar system. Then, he led mankind out into the wider galaxy to reclaim many of the lost colonies and end the greatest period of darkness mankind had ever suffered. With the worst of the storms receded, the Emperor ordered the construction of the Astronomicon, broadcast from Terra by a choir of psychers and focused by the Emperor's indomitable will. This beacon shone through the warp space, allowing navigators to follow its guiding light, plotting courses through its otherwise directionless murk of endless chaos. It was by using the Astronomicon that mankind was able to forge out from Terra once more. The Great Crusade, as it came to be known, reclaimed the far scattered and long lost worlds, giving birth to the Imperium. For nearly 10 millennia, the borders of that realm were defined by the reach of the Astronomicon, the great light of Terra. Navigators could travel in a great radius outwards from the Astronomicon, but there were many blind spots. Distant borders like the eastern fringe or the Gaul stars were beyond the beacon's reach. Few in the Imperium dared venture beyond such limitations, save for some of the rogue traders who used conventional space travel to probe into the blackness. There were also anomalies scattered across the galaxy, near which warp travel was restricted or prevented altogether. The most dangerous of these were the warp rifts, such as the Eye of Terror, where a great influx of felt energies stirred fierce warp storms that dimmed or blotted out the Astronomicon. Without that signal, the risk of mishap or madness, or a fate worse than either, was exceptionally increased. Shorn of its guidance, even the most powerful of the navigators could neither pilot a ship, nor plot a course for the immense voyages required to cross the quarter of the breadth of the Imperium. Of course, that was before the Great Rift. A chain reaction of tears split across the galaxy, leaving behind a pulsing scar of pure chaos. The Noctis Eternia followed, a period when the Astronomicon was swallowed, lost within the rolling masses of the storm. For some time, days, weeks, years, only the intermittent flashes could be seen, as if the Emperor himself was doing battle against the storm. For half of the galaxy, the Astronomicon returned, although now prone to blinks and stutters. For those in the galactic north, dubbed the Imperium Nifilus, the beam of the Astronomicon was gone, leaving navigators blind to the warp, and the Imperial worlds there lost, and isolated in the dark.